The champagne glass exploded against the marble fireplace. Gold liquid sprayed across family portraits hanging on the wall. Kioma stood in the center of their bedroom, chest heaving, mascara bleeding down her face like war paint. "You want the truth, David? Fine. Tunde is not your son." David Adeyemi froze halfway through loosening his tie. The words hit him like a physical blow. His hand dropped to his side. For 3 seconds, the only sound was rain hammering against the floor-to-ceiling windows of their Banana Island penthouse. "What did you just say?" Kioma laughed. It was a broken, ugly sound that didn't belong in her throat. "You heard me perfectly. Our son. He's not ours. He's mine and Femi's." The room tilted. David grabbed the door frame to keep from falling. "Femi. Femi Ogunlade. My business partner. Femi. Your best friend, Femi." Yes. She was smiling now, but tears kept falling. 18 years ago, one night, that's all it took to destroy everything. David lunged forward and grabbed her shoulders. Not gently. His fingers dug into her skin hard enough to bruise. "You're lying. You're angry about something, and you're lying to hurt me." "I wish I was lying." She shoved him backward with surprising strength. "I have wished that every single day for 18 years. But DNA doesn't care about wishes, David. Science doesn't care about how much you love that boy. Stop calling him that boy. His name is Tunde. My son Tunde. He's not your son." Chioma screamed it so loud her voice cracked. "He has never been your son. Every time you looked at him and saw yourself, you were seeing a ghost. A fantasy. Nothing real." David's fist went through the bedroom wall. Plaster crumbled. His knuckles came back bloody, but he felt nothing. "When? When did this happen? Does it matter? Tell me when, or I will tear this house apart with my bare hands." Kioma wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly looking small despite her designer nightgown and diamond earrings. "December 2006. You were in Abuja for 3 weeks closing that telecommunications deal. You called me twice in 21 days. I was 23 years old, David. I was lonely and scared, and Femi came to check on me, and we drank too much wine and—" "Stop." David held up his hand. "I don't want to hear the details. I don't want that movie playing in my head. But you need to know. No. I need you to get out of my house." Kioma's eyes went wide. "David, we need to talk about this. We need to figure out what to tell Tunde." "Get out." His voice had gone quiet, deadly. "Pack one bag. Take your car. Leave before I do something we'll both regret. This is my house, too. Nothing is yours anymore." David turned and walked toward the door. "Not this house. Not that name you carry. And definitely not my son. He's not your—" David spun back so fast Kioma stumbled backward. "Finish that sentence, I dare you. Finish it and see what happens." They stared at each other. 20 years of marriage combusting in real time. A throat cleared from the doorway. They both turned. Tunde stood there in his Manchester United jersey and boxer shorts, phone dangling from one hand. His face was ghost white. His eyes were huge and confused and starting to fill with the terrible understanding of a child watching his world crack open. "Mom, Dad, why are you screaming? Why is Dad's hand like that?" This is the story of a secret that destroyed a family, a lie that should have stayed buried, and a father's love that refused to die even when biology said it was fake. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Lagos, Accra, Johannesburg, Nairobi, London, New York, Toronto, Atlanta. Like, share, and subscribe because what happens next will leave you speechless. David felt his heart stop. His mouth went dry. He looked at Kioma, whose face had gone from angry to terrified in half a second. "Tunde," David's voice came out strangled. "Go back to bed, son. I heard glass breaking. I heard Mom say—" Tunde trailed off. His grip tightened on his phone. What did she say about me not being your son? The silence stretched impossibly long. Your father and I are having an argument, Kioma said, her voice suddenly controlled. Calm, the way she spoke to clients at her PR firm. Adult things, marriage things, nothing for you to worry about, baby. Don't lie to him. David's voice came out harsh. We're done lying. Tunde took a step into the room, then another. His bare feet left small prints on the tiles. Someone tell me what's happening. Right now. David looked at his son. This boy he'd raised, taught to ride a bicycle, helped with homework, sat up with during nightmares. Every memory felt suddenly fragile, like touching them too hard would make them disintegrate. Your mother made a mistake a long time ago, David said carefully. Before you were born, and we're dealing with the consequences. What kind of mistake? Kioma moved toward Tunde, but he stepped back, away from her reach. The rejection on her face was devastating. Tunde, please understand, I was young. Your father was always working. I was lonely. Oh my God, Tunde's voice came out as a whisper. Oh my God, you cheated on Dad. No one corrected him. Who was it? Tunde looked between them. Who did you sleep with? It doesn't matter, Kioma started. Femi. David said the name like a curse. Your uncle, Femi. Tunde stumbled. Actually stumbled like he'd been pushed. Uncle Femi? My godfather, Uncle Femi. Yes. When? When did this happen? The winter before you were born, Kioma whispered. David watched his son's face as the math happened, watched confusion become comprehension become horror. No, Tunde was shaking his head violently. No, 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 you're lying. You're both lying. This is some sick joke. I wish it was a joke. David took a step toward him. Tunde, listen to me. Don't touch me. Tunde backed into the hallway. Don't you dare touch me. Son, please. I'm not your son. The words came out as a sob. That's what this means, right? That's what she was saying? Uncle Femi is my real father. Biology doesn't determine fatherhood. Answer the question. Tunde was crying now, 18 years old, but looking 12. Am I your son or not? David opened his mouth, closed it. Every answer felt like a lie. Oh God. Tunde's hand went to his mouth. Oh God, I'm going to be sick. He turned and ran. They heard him crash into his bedroom, heard things breaking, heard the sound of someone's life shattering in real time. David moved to follow, but Kioma grabbed his arm. Let me explain. You've done enough explaining. David pulled free. You've destroyed enough for one night. He walked to Tunde's room and tried the handle. Locked. Tunde, open the door. No response. Son, I know you're scared and confused. I'm scared too. But we need to talk about this. Go away. The voice was muffled. Both of you just go away. David pressed his forehead against the door. Behind him, he heard Kioma sobbing in their bedroom. Above him, the chandelier swayed slightly from the wind outside, and inside this room, his son was falling apart. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against his better judgment, he answered, Mr. Adeyemi, this is Dr. Okonkwo from Lagoon Hospital. I handled Tunde's admission medical screening last month. David's stomach dropped. What's wrong? Is there a problem with his results? Not a problem exactly, but something unusual came up that requires immediate attention. Can you come to my office first thing tomorrow morning? It's urgent. David didn't sleep. He sat in his study watching the sun crawl up over Lagos, turning the polluted sky from black to gray to dirty orange. His phone sat on the desk between his hands like a loaded gun. 17 missed calls from Kioma. She'd left sometime around 3 a.m. He'd heard her car pull out of the driveway but hadn't bothered to look. Tunde's bedroom door hadn't opened all night. At 6:47 a.m., David's phone rang. Femi's name lit up the screen. David stared at it. Let it ring 4 times. 5. On the 6th ring, something in him snapped. He answered. "You have exactly 10 seconds to tell me why I shouldn't drive to your house and kill you with my bare hands." Silence. Then Femi's voice, rough like he'd been crying. "She told you. She told me everything. About the affair, about Tunde, about how my entire life is a lie built on your betrayal. David, I swear on my children's lives I didn't know. All these years I had no idea. You're lying. You had to suspect something. Tunde has your eyes, your nose. I convinced myself I was seeing my own features, but you must have noticed." "I didn't. I swear I didn't." Femi's voice cracked. "Do you think I could have looked at that boy for 18 years knowing he was mine, watching you raise him? I'm not that strong, David. I'm not that cruel." David laughed bitterly. "No, you're just cruel enough to sleep with your best friend's wife and then pretend it never happened. It was one mistake, one drunken night 20 years ago. That produced a child. That's not a mistake, Femi. That's a consequence, and I'm the one who's been living with your consequence while you played godfather and pretended to be family. What do you want from me? You want me to apologize? Fine, I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry I can barely breathe. But David, we need to figure out what happens now, legally, financially. That boy, his name is Tunde. Tunde deserves to know the truth. He deserves to know who his biological father is. He already knows. He overheard the whole thing last night." David's voice went cold. "So congratulations, Femi. Your secret is out. Now you get to live with the consequences, too." He hung up before Femi could respond. At 7:30 a.m., David knocked on Tunde's door. "I'm going to the hospital. The doctor called about your medical results. I need you to come with me." No response. "Tunde, I know you're angry. I know you feel betrayed. But this is important. The doctor said it's urgent." The door opened so suddenly, David stepped back. Tunde stood there looking like he'd aged 10 years overnight. His eyes were swollen, red-rimmed. His jersey was wrinkled. He stared at David with something that looked like hatred. "Stop calling me Tunde." "What? That's not even my real name, is it? You named me after your father. But I'm not your son. So I shouldn't carry his name." The words hit David like a hammer to the chest. "Your name is Tunde Adeyemi. That will never change." "Everything has already changed." Tunde pushed past him into the hallway. "Let's go see what else is broken." They drove to Lagoon Hospital in silence. David tried 3 times to start a conversation. Each time, Tunde turned up his music louder, staring out the window at Lagos rushing past. Street vendors, yellow buses belching black smoke. The organized chaos of a city that never stopped moving, even when individual lives collapsed. Dr. Okonkwo's office smelled like antiseptic and old coffee. The doctor was younger than David expected, maybe 40, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He gestured for them to sit. "Thank you for coming so quickly, Mr. Adeyemi, and you must be Tunde." Tunde said nothing. His arms were crossed tight across his chest like armor. "Doctor, what's this about?" David leaned forward. "You said there was something urgent about Tunde's medical screening?" Dr. Okonkwo opened a manila folder and pulled out several papers covered in numbers and medical terminology. "During the routine blood work for university admission, we run comprehensive genetic panels. It's standard procedure to check for hereditary conditions, genetic markers, that sort of thing. And we found something concerning." The doctor's expression grew serious. "Tunde has a genetic marker for sickle cell disease. He's a carrier. which means he inherited the trait from one parent. David felt relief wash over him. That's it. That's what was so urgent. Sickle cell trait is common. It doesn't mean— Mr. Adeyemi, that's not the concerning part. Dr. Okonkwo turned to Tunde. Young man, have you been experiencing fatigue lately? Unexplained pain in your joints? Shortness of breath? Tunde uncrossed his arms slowly. Sometimes. I thought it was just from football practice. When did these symptoms start? I don't know. A few months ago. Why? Dr. Okonkwo slid another paper across his desk. Because according to your blood work, you're not just a carrier. You have active sickle cell anemia. Type SS. The most severe form. The room went very quiet. That's impossible, David said. We would have known. He would have had crises as a child, hospitalizations. We would have known. Not necessarily. Some patients with SS can go years with mild symptoms, but Tunde's hemoglobin levels are dangerously low, his blood cells are misshapen, and looking at his genetic markers— The doctor paused. Both parents would need to be carriers for a child to have SS disease. Mr. Adeyemi, were you ever tested for sickle cell trait? No, I never needed to be. I've never had any symptoms. What about your wife? David's mouth went dry. I don't know. She never mentioned it. Dr. Okonkwo leaned back in his chair. Mr. Adeyemi, I'm going to be direct with you. If you're not a carrier, and Tunde has SS disease, that means his biological father must be a carrier. Do you understand what I'm saying? David understood perfectly. This wasn't just about confirming Femi's paternity anymore. This was about Tunde's life. How bad is it? Tunde spoke for the first time since entering the office. His voice was steady despite his hands shaking. The disease. How bad? With proper treatment and management, many patients live full lives, but you'll need regular blood transfusions, medication, lifestyle changes. And eventually— Dr. Okonkwo hesitated. Eventually, you may need a bone marrow transplant. The best matches come from siblings or biological parents. I don't have siblings. No, but if your biological father is a match, he could be your donor. David watched realization dawn across Tunde's face. The boy who'd spent all night hating Femi now needed him to save his life. This is insane. Tunde stood up abruptly, knocking his chair backward. This is actually insane. First I find out my entire life is a lie, and now you're telling me I'm dying? You're not dying, Dr. Okonkwo started. I have a disease that could kill me. That's the definition of dying. Tunde's voice rose to a shout. And the only person who can save me is some stranger who happens to share my DNA. Tunde, calm down. David reached for him. Don't. Tunde jerked away. Don't touch me. Don't tell me what to do. You're not my father. You have no right. He bolted from the office. David moved to follow, but Dr. Okonkwo caught his arm. Let him go. He needs to process this. He's sick. He's confused. I can't just— Mr. Adeyemi. The doctor's grip tightened. That boy just learned his entire identity is a lie and that he has a potentially fatal disease in the span of 12 hours. He's not going to process this rationally, and you chasing him will only make it worse. David sagged into his chair. What do I do? Find his biological father. Get him tested. If he's a match, we move forward with transplant protocols. If he's not— Dr. Okonkwo didn't finish the sentence. David pulled out his phone with shaking hands. He scrolled to Femi's number. His thumb hovered over the call button. I have to tell him, David whispered. I have to tell Femi that Tunde needs him. Yes, you do. David pressed call. It rang twice before Femi answered. David? David, I'm so sorry about earlier. I shouldn't have pushed. Tunde is sick. The words came out flat, dead. He has sickle cell anemia, SS type. He needs a bone marrow transplant. Silence. Femi, do you understand what I'm saying? Your son is dying, and you might be the only person who can save him. More silence. Then a sound that might have been a sob. Where is he? Where's Tunde? I don't know. He ran from the hospital. He's upset. He's confused. I'm coming to Lagos. Today. Right now. Text me your address. Femi, wait. But Femi had already hung up. David sat in the doctor's office, phone still pressed to his ear, listening to dead air. Outside, Lagos continued its chaos. Inside, the walls were closing in. His phone buzzed, a text from unknown number. Dad, I'm sorry, I need time to think. Don't look for me. T. David's hands started shaking, then his whole body. Dr. Okonkwo was saying something about medication protocols and treatment options, but the words dissolved into white noise. His son was sick. His son was running. And the man who could save him was on his way to claim what biology said was his. David drove through Lagos like a madman. Lekki, Victoria Island, Surulere. Everywhere Tunde might go. The arcade at Palms Mall where he played video games with friends, the football field at King's College where he practiced on weekends, the ice cream shop on Admiralty Way where he'd celebrated every birthday since he was 7. Empty. All of it empty. David's phone rang constantly. Kioma calling from wherever she'd disappeared to. Femi calling with updates on his flight from Abuja. His company's CFO calling about a board meeting David was supposed to be attending. He ignored them all. At 2 p.m., he found himself parked outside Femi's Lagos house in Ikoyi, a white mansion with palm trees and a gate that probably cost more than most Nigerians earned in a lifetime. David had helped Femi buy this house 8 years ago, had celebrated here, had brought Tunde here for pool parties and Christmas dinners. Every memory felt contaminated now. He was reaching for his phone to call Femi when movement caught his eye. The front door opened. A woman emerged, elegant in a blue dress, holding the hand of a little girl, maybe 6 years old. Femi's wife, Folake. Femi's daughter, Funmi. David watched them walk to a silver Lexus. The little girl was laughing about something. Folake kissed her forehead before buckling her into the back seat. Normal, innocent, completely unaware that their perfect family was about to explode. If David told them the truth, if he exposed Femi's secret, that little girl would lose her father the same way Tunde had lost his. His phone buzzed. Text from Femi. Landed. Where are you? David typed back. Your house. Come alone. The Lexus pulled out of the driveway. David waited. 20 minutes later, a black Range Rover screeched to a stop beside him. Femi jumped out before the engine stopped. He looked terrible, shirt wrinkled, no tie, hair uncombed, eyes wild. Have you found him? Is Tunde okay? Get in the car. David's voice was ice. David, we don't have time for... Get in the car. Femi climbed into the passenger seat. The leather creaked under his weight. He smelled like airplane recycled air and expensive cologne gone stale. Where is he? Femi asked immediately. I don't know. He's not answering his phone. His friends haven't seen him. He just disappeared. We need to call the police, file a missing persons report. And tell them what? David's hands gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. That my son ran away after discovering his entire life is a lie. That he has a fatal disease and needs his biological father, who didn't know he existed? That's a great story for the evening news. Femi flinched. I deserve that. All of it. But right now, we need to focus on finding Tunde. Don't say his name like you have a right to it. David, you want to know something funny? David laughed, but there was no humor in it. I convinced myself that boy looked like me. His smile, the way he tilts his head when he's thinking. I saw myself everywhere in him because that's what fathers do. We find ourselves in our children even when we're not there. I'm sorry. Femi's voice broke. I am so fucking sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back 18 years. Sorry doesn't cure his disease. Sorry doesn't... David's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered on speaker. Hello? Is this David Adeyemi? A young voice, male, nervous. Yes, who is this? My name is Chidi. I'm Tunde's friend from school. He's here, at my place. He asked me to call you. Relief flooded through David like ice water. Is he okay? Is he hurt? He's not hurt physically. But sir, he's not doing well. He keeps saying he wants to die, that there's no point anymore. We're scared he might do something stupid. David was already starting the car. What's your address? Lekki, Phase 1, number 47, Chevron Drive. The blue house with... I know it. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Chidi, listen to me very carefully. Do not leave him alone. Not for 1 second. Do you understand? Yes, sir. And Chidi, thank you for calling. David ended the call and hit the accelerator. The Mercedes roared to life. I'm coming with you, Femi said. No, you're not. He's my son too. He doesn't know that yet, not really. Last night was chaos. He needs time to process before you waltz in claiming fatherhood. I can help. Maybe if he sees that I care. That I want to be there for him. You want to be there for him? David slammed on the brakes so hard both of them lurched forward against their seatbelts. They were stopped at a red light, traffic swarming around them like angry bees. Where were you 18 years ago? Where were you when he had nightmares, when he learned to walk? When he cried because kids at school made fun of his accent? I didn't know he existed. That's not an excuse. You slept with my wife. You created a life and then walked away like nothing happened. You don't get to show up now with your guilty conscience and play savior. Femi's jaw clenched, his hands curled into fists on his lap. You're right. You're absolutely right, but David, he's sick. He needs a transplant. I might be his only chance. I know that. David's voice dropped to a whisper. Don't you think I know that? I have to hand my son over to the man who destroyed my life because biology says you're his only hope. Do you have any idea what that feels like? The light turned green. Horns blared behind them. David drove. They arrived at Chidi's house in 12 minutes. David parked haphazardly, half on the curb. He turned to Femi. Stay here. I'll bring Tundi out. Then we'll figure out next steps. David, stay here. David climbed out and walked to the blue house. His heart was pounding so hard he could feel it in his throat. He knocked. A teenage boy answered, tall and skinny with worried eyes. Mr. Adeyemi, I'm Chidi. He's upstairs in my room. David followed him up a narrow staircase. Teenage boy smell. Basketball posters. The debris of young lives still untouched by real tragedy. Chidi opened a door. He's in there, sir. Please help him. I've never seen him like this. David stepped inside. Tunde sat on the floor by the window, knees pulled to his chest, staring at nothing. He didn't look up when David entered. Didn't acknowledge his presence at all. Tunde. No response. David crossed the room slowly, the way you approach a wounded animal. He sat down on the floor beside his son, leaving a foot of space between them. Chidi called me. Said you were here. I told him not to. Tunde's voice was hollow, empty. He was worried about you. We all are. Why? I'm not even yours. Why do you care? The question hung in the air like smoke. Because I raised you, David said quietly. Because I was there when you took your first steps. Because I taught you to tie your shoes. Because I sat up with you when you had fever. Because I am your father in every way that matters. Biology matters. The doctor said so. I need my biological father's bone marrow. Your love can't save me. Only his genes can. David felt something crack in his chest. I know, and I hate it. I hate that after 18 years of being your father, the one thing you need from me is something I can't give you. Tunde finally turned to look at him. His eyes were red, swollen, ancient. Do you wish I'd never been born? Do you wish Mom had never gotten pregnant? No, the answer came instantly. Never. Not once. You are the best thing that ever happened to me, Tunde. Even now, even with all of this. How can you say that? I'm proof that your wife cheated. I'm a living reminder that your best friend betrayed you. Every time you look at me, you must see them. You know what I see when I look at you. David's voice was thick. I see the boy who used to make me breakfast in bed on Father's Day. Terrible breakfast, burnt toast and watery eggs. But you were so proud of yourself. I see the teenager who cried when we watched The Lion King, even though you pretended you didn't. I see my son. That's all I've ever seen. Tunde's face crumpled. I don't know who I am anymore. You're Tunde Adeyemi. You're 18 years old. You're brilliant and kind and stubborn as hell. You're going to be a doctor. And none of that changes just because your DNA is complicated. But I need him. I need Femi. The name came out like poison. I need the man who destroyed our family to save my life. How is that fair? It's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. They sat in silence. Outside, Lagos continued its chaos. Car horns, market vendors, shouting, the sound of a city that didn't stop for anyone's tragedy. Finally, Tunde spoke. Is he here? Femi? He's in my car. I didn't know if you wanted to see him. I don't, but I need to, don't I? David nodded slowly. Yes, you do. David led Tunde down the stairs. Each step felt like walking toward an execution. Chidi watched from the landing, his young face tight with worry. Thank you for calling me, David told him. You probably saved his life. Chidi nodded but said nothing. There was nothing to say. Outside, the Lagos afternoon had turned brutal. Heat shimmered off the asphalt. The air tasted like exhaust fumes and red dust. Femi stood beside David's Mercedes, hands shoved deep in his pockets, shoulders hunched like he was bracing for impact. When he saw Tunde, something broke across his face. Recognition, wonder, grief, all at once. Tunde stopped walking. His body went rigid. I can't do this. Yes, you can. David's hand found Tunde's shoulder. You're the bravest person I know. I'm not brave, I'm terrified. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Femi took a step forward, then stopped like an invisible barrier held him back. Tunde, I don't even know where to start. Then don't start. Tunde's voice was sharp, cold. Just tell me if you're going to get tested. That's all I need to know. Of course I'll get tested. Today, right now, whatever you need. I don't need anything from you except your bone marrow. Don't confuse medical necessity with wanting a relationship. The words hit Femi like physical blows. He actually stumbled backward. I understand, I do. But Tunde, I want you to know. I don't care what you want me to know. Tunde's hands were shaking, but his voice stayed steady. You slept with my mother. You created me. Then you spent 18 years playing uncle while my real father raised me. You don't get to show up now with explanations and apologies and expect me to care. I didn't know you existed. That's not my problem. That's between you and your guilty conscience. Tunde's composure was cracking. His voice rose. Do you know what it feels like? To look in the mirror and not recognize yourself? To wonder which parts of you belong to a stranger? I'm not a stranger. I've known you your whole life. As Uncle Femi, as Dad's best friend, not as... Tunde couldn't finish the sentence. The word father wouldn't come out. Femi's eyes filled with tears. I know I have no right to ask for your forgiveness. I know I destroyed your family, but Tunde, please believe me when I say that if I'd known, everything would have been different. Would it? Tunde stepped closer now, his face inches from Femi's. Would you have left your wife? Abandoned your daughters? Destroyed your perfect life for a bastard child you didn't plan for? Don't call yourself that. That's what I am. A mistake, an accident, the consequence of too much wine and not enough character. You are not a mistake, David's voice cut through the argument like a blade. Both Femi and Tunde turned to stare at him. You are not an accident or a consequence or anything else diminishing. You are a person. You are my son, and you deserve better than this. He's my son too. Femi's voice was barely a whisper. No. David stepped between them. You're a biological donor. That's all. You don't get to claim him after 18 years of silence. The silence wasn't my choice. Then whose choice was it? You think I wanted this? You think Tunde wanted this? We're all victims of your 5 minutes of weakness. Femi's jaw clenched, his hands curled into fists. Don't pretend you're innocent in this, David. You were gone for weeks at a time. You left your young wife alone in a city where she knew no one. You chose business over her happiness. David's fist connected with Femi's jaw before the sentence finished. The crack echoed across the quiet street. Femi went down hard, sprawling across the hood of the Mercedes. Blood poured from his split lip. Dad, stop! Tunde grabbed David's arm, pulling him back. Don't defend him. David tried to shake free, but Tunde held on. I'm not defending him. I'm stopping you from doing something stupid. Femi pulled himself upright, one hand pressed to his bleeding mouth. When he spoke, his words came out slurred. Feel better? Not even a little bit. Good. Hit me again if it helps. Break my nose, knock out my teeth. I deserve all of it. David raised his fist. Femi didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there waiting for the blow. David's arm dropped. You're not worth it. Femi laughed, bitter and broken. You're right, I'm not. But that boy is. And if my worthless blood can save him, then maybe I can do one good thing in my miserable life. Tunde released David's arm. When can you get tested? Today. Now. I'll call my doctor and have him run the compatibility panel immediately. How long until we know? 72 hours for preliminary results. Maybe less if I pay for expedited processing. Then do it. Pay whatever it costs. I need to know if you're a match or if I have to... Tunde's voice broke. If I have to start looking at other options. What other options? David asked sharply. The doctor mentioned a registry, bone marrow donors from around the world, but he said the odds of finding a match are 1 in a million. Literally. David felt ice flood his veins. You didn't tell me that part. You were busy feeling guilty about not being able to save me yourself. I didn't want to make it worse. The three of them stood in the brutal Lagos heat, connected by blood and betrayal and the desperate hope that biology would save what love couldn't fix. Femi pulled out his phone. I'm calling my doctor right now. I'll text you updates every step of the way. He walked a few feet away, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapidly in Yoruba. Tunde leaned against the Mercedes. Suddenly he looked very young, very tired. What if he's not a match? His voice was small. What if I have to spend my last months waiting for a miracle that never comes? Don't talk like that. David pulled Tunde against his chest. The boy resisted for half a second, then collapsed into his arms, like he'd been holding himself together with wire, and the wire had finally snapped. I'm scared, Dad. I'm so scared. I know. I am too. I don't want to die. I'm 18 years old. I haven't done anything yet. I haven't traveled or fallen in love or become a doctor or had kids or... You're not going to die. I won't let you. You can't control this. Nobody can. David held his son tighter. Then we'll fight it together. You, me, and every resource I can buy or beg or steal. You're going to survive this, Tunde. I promise. You can't promise that. Watch me. Femi returned, pocketing his phone. My doctor is waiting at the hospital. He'll run the tests immediately. I should have preliminary results by Friday morning. It's Tuesday, Tunde said. That's 3 days. I know. I'm sorry it can't be faster. What if you're not a match? What then? Femi and David exchanged a look. A moment of understanding passed between them, unspoken but clear. If Femi wasn't a match, they were out of options. Then we find another way, Femi said firmly. I'll get tested. My daughters will get tested. My wife... No, David cut him off. Your wife doesn't know about any of this, does she? Femi's silence was answer enough. You can't tell her, David continued. If you're not a match, there's no reason to destroy your family too. David, I mean it, Femi. One broken family is enough. If you're not a match, we go to the registry. We find another donor. But you don't blow up your daughters' lives for nothing. Femi stared at him. After everything I did to you, you're trying to protect my family? I'm not protecting your family. I'm protecting innocent children from learning their father is a lying piece of shit. There's a difference. Tunde pulled away from David. He wiped his eyes roughly with the back of his hand. I need to go home. I need to sleep. I can't process any more today. I'll drive you, David said. No, I need to be alone. I'll take an Uber. Tunde, please, Dad, just please. The word dad hung in the air. Despite everything, despite DNA and biology and 18 years of lies, Tunde had still called him Dad. David felt something loosen in his chest. Not forgiveness, not healing. Just the tiniest crack letting light through the darkness. Okay, go home. Rest. I'll check on you tonight. Tunde nodded. He pulled out his phone and ordered a ride. While they waited, he turned to Femi. If you're a match, I'll accept your bone marrow, but that's all I'll accept from you. No relationship, no father-son bonding, no trying to make up for lost time. You save my life, then you disappear. Forever. Do we understand each other? Femi's face crumpled. Yes. We understand each other. A blue Toyota pulled up. Tunde climbed in without looking back. David and Femi watched the car disappear into Lagos traffic. Then they stood there, two men connected by betrayal and biology, not knowing what to say. Finally, Femi spoke. I meant what I said. If I'm a match, I'll do the transplant. Then I'll walk away. You'll never hear from me again. Good. But David, for what it's worth, you're a better father than I could ever be. Biology doesn't make family. Love does. And that boy loves you. Get out of here before I change my mind about hitting you again. Femi nodded. He walked to his Range Rover, paused with his hand on the door. I really am sorry. For all of it. So am I. Femi drove away. David stood alone on a Lekki street, watching his former best friend disappear, wondering how the hell his perfect life had become this nightmare in less than 48 hours. His phone buzzed. Text from Kioma. I heard about Tunde's diagnosis. I'm coming home. We need to talk. David stared at the message. Then he got in his car and drove nowhere in particular, letting Lagos swallow him whole. This is a story about love versus biology, about the father who raised you versus the father who made you, about how sometimes saving someone means accepting help from the person who destroyed you. If you still have a father in your life, the one who showed up every day, call him right now. Tell him you love him. Because fatherhood isn't about DNA, it's about choosing to stay when you could walk away. Like this video if it made you feel something. Subscribe for more stories about the messy, complicated truth of family. Comment where you're watching from and tell us, is the father who raised you more important than the father who made you? Share this with someone who needs to remember that love is more powerful than blood.